Good evening. Well, I'm just going to talk to you now a few home truths, if you like, situation I found myself in this year. Now, I've been doing this, as I said before, for many years. This is my fifth year on doing it this way, traveling from the Philippines back to the UK and living in my tent or my car. So I've struggled to get my car through the MOT. I had to borrow some money from a good friend of mine, and without that, I would have been lost. It just the expense of everything. So as I told you before, I missed my flight. The whole cost of that, coming back this time, the whole cost of missing my flight with missed hotels and missed buses was just under £800. That was the £800 that I got ready to get the car back on the road if needed. As it turns out, I think it was 660 something to have the car originally repaired on the front. They then spotted some damage on the rear suspension on the springs. That yesterday went back in with another 166 something. So 166 plus 666 or something like that. So damn it, what is that, £800? That's the £800 I'd saved. It would have saved me basically. But I hadn't got that. What's happening now with my job is I've got plenty of shifts. £13 an hour, it's not the world, but it's okay. I can make that work. The problem being is I found out today when I went yesterday to get my car to MOT, I was on a bit of a high. Yes, I've got no money left, but I was on a bit of a high. Today I found out when I went into work, I was talking to a member of the night staff that I chat with sometimes because I'm always very early there in the morning about, well, at least I get paid at the end of the month. And then she said, yeah, but there's a cut-off point. I can't get my head around this, how on earth this is legal. But basically, there's a cut-off point, so they get paid this month, and they change it each month by a day or two or whatever. This month is the 14th of this month. I don't get paid to the end of the month, the 30th or whatever it is. But it turns out I'm not getting paid for the next 2 weeks that I do up to that date. No, I'm getting paid for the one shift I did when I came back on that week, which was the Saturday, 14 hours, and the hours I've done last week, which brings me up to a total. I think I worked it at about £800. Again, £800, the magic number, isn't it? So instead of getting my 2,200, because I'm doing a lot of hours, 2,300 minus deductions, 20% tax and so on and so forth, national insurance or whatever it's called, and the pension, which I'm going to have to stop. It's heartbreaking, but I'm going to have to stop that because I need that money. So that's another complicated thing. But basically, there's a cut-off point each month. So somehow they've organised it that you get paid from, say, the 14th to the 14th, or the 12th to the 12th, or the 15th to the 15th, whatever it might be. But you don't get paid to the end of the month. So I come in at the start of the month, and the cut-off point is the 14th. So it basically means I get £800 at the end of the month instead of my full wage to survive on till the end of May. How the hell? How? Is this even legal? I can't get my head around it. Now, when this company took over, the other company that run these care homes that I work for, there's two of them, but they've taken them over and they've got lots of care homes. I'm not going to mention any names, but I think it's something like 80 care homes all over the country. So this is the way they do it. So when they took over for the financial side of it, I think it was November, so I wasn't in the country anymore. People then had the option of taking out a loan with them to cover the fact that they wouldn't get paid properly that month because they needed to set it up this cut-off limit. I really struggle to understand what that's all about. So I was talking to local work today, and he did that, and he's been paying off £90 a month because obviously you need wages to survive, to pay your bills. So he took the loan out, and with them, instead of getting his wages, you had to take a loan from them, which he's now been paying back every month, £90 a month. I think he's just about finished with that. And since then, so say since December or whatever it might have been, it's this cut-off point. So halfway through the month to halfway through the next month, but you don't get paid to the end of the month. So when I'm up and running, so say for example, come when I get to the end of May, I will get the next 2 weeks I'm working now and the first 2 weeks of May and get paid at the end of May. So in other words, you're always 2 weeks behind. And I'm talking to somebody today, sometimes that's going to mount up because there's always a day early or a day later, whatever it is. So instead, so this week is the 12th. This month is the 12th. Next month it might be the 11th. You see what I mean? So you're always going further and further behind. Now, this is a huge company with, I don't know how many care homes, but thousands of staff. So if they're doing this with every single member of staff, can you imagine the interest they're getting on those wages, those 2 weeks' wages that they haven't paid? Now, I spoke to my manager today, and it was something along the lines of, yeah, when people then quit, and they've used their holiday up, this is to cover that. Well, I'm on bank. I only get holiday for what I work, so this is not possible in my case. So I accumulate the holiday hours, and I get that paid when I leave the country. So it doesn't even affect me. So you would think being on bank that it would be different, but no, everybody has to be paid the same system. So just so you know, it's heartbreaking. When I found this out this morning, another member of staff this afternoon said, "Steve, you're all right, you've gone very quiet." Good friend of mine at work, and I sat down, stood there talking to her about it. She was good enough to say if I need somebody to talk to, I can always turn to her, which is very good. But of course, the other staff members now, they've been with this new company now for 5, 6, 7 months or whatever it might be, so they're now used to that, so they're always 2 weeks behind, but you don't see it. Because I spoke to another lad, said, well, we don't even realize it, we don't even notice it because now we're getting paid monthly. Your full amount, but you're always 2 weeks behind. Does that make sense? So yeah, basically now, I pay every 10 days, I pay £80 on the campsite, which is £8 a day. So I've just now basically drawn that £80 out and did a tiny bit of shopping, some pasta and stuff, some sauce, and put £15 worth of fuel in my car, which is give or take 2 gallons. Well, it is 2 gallons, 9 something litres. So I'm going to go back in the morning because I'm on all day tomorrow. So I'm going to have to do the same as what I've been doing all the time. So go back to work tomorrow and just pitch up camp in my car there again, because I won't be able to afford to drive back here, which is basically my home when I'm in the country, My tent and my car parked out here, and it's a lovely place to be, and I really like it. So I'm all day, 14 hours tomorrow. I've got an early on Friday, which would normally mean I would come back here. Then I'm working all day Saturday, so I'm going to stay there. Can't do anything because I'm going to stay there. Can't afford to go anywhere or do anything. And then I've got Sunday off. I will be able to come here because I'm working Monday, Tuesday, 14-hour shifts, and so on. And then the day off, I think Wednesday, and so on and so forth. So until the end of the month, when I then only get £800, I'm not going to be. How do I survive? So I just thought I'd give you that. I'm going through a bit of a hard time. I know people don't want to know this or don't want to hear about it, but I'm just trying to let you know that I'm 6 to 7 months of the year, I'm a full-time camper, a car camper, tent camper, whatever you want to call me. I'm not off-grid, as they say, because I use the campsite. I'm not totally off-grid. I use a friend's address to insure and register my car. Otherwise, very good of her. And that's another friend at work. I wouldn't be able to, I don't know how I would do it otherwise. I've got nobody else to help me with that sort of thing. So she's good as gold and she lets me do that. I've got another 3.5 years of this predicament that I found myself in through no fault of my own and through no fault of my wife's, that she's now in the Philippines and I travel backwards and forwards. I can't just say, okay, I'll just stay here for 3.5 years and not see my wife. Come on, let's face facts. I'm 63. Who knows if I'm going to last the next 3.5 years? So I never see my wife again if I should do that, and then I'd have to rent a place here, and I would never save any money, because if you're renting a place and your council tax and your gas and your electric and your water rates and the car and the food and the fuel, I wouldn't save anything to go back, you know. So I'm going to have a serious think about what my plans are now for the future. My first reaction this morning is that they can't do that. Well, obviously they can. They can't do that. I'll have to change companies. Well, I got 3.5 years left. I don't want to change again. I just don't want to start again somewhere else. I just don't want to do that. I just want to get these 3.5 years done. Not, you know, wishing my life away to a certain extent it is, but you know, I've basically had enough now of this toing and throwing. I just want a peaceful life. I had such a good time this year in the Philippines, being with my wife and my step granddaughter, if you like, but my granddaughter, and you know, and the friends I've got there, and the family, and everything. It was a lovely time, and I really, honestly, didn't want to come back, but I have no choice. So yeah, so sorry that this is a bit down and not an upbeat sort of thing. Look at me, I'm a car camper. I'm having a wonderful time, and this is my car, and this is how I do things. That might come in the future, but I just thought I'd let you know the situation I found myself in. Anyway, everybody take care, and hopefully my next video will be a little bit more positive. Bye for now.